Thank you so much to give me the opportunity to be here today. I'm present myself. My name is Maria Rocca, and I'm a PhD student at University of Genoa in environmental economy. Today, in fact, I'm going to present to you part of my PhD thesis titled Social Value of Soil Geological Characteristic. And this is a project made with my supervisor Barbara Cavalletti, the professor Matteo Corsi, and the professor Elena Lagomarsino. So the content of this presentation is related, first of all, to our goal, to the goal of our project. After that, I speak about the soil ecosystem services literature review in order to introduce the child's experimental design, our child's experimental design. After that, in the last part, I speak about the results related to our estimation, the conclusion, and our future improvement. So, our goal is to estimate social value related to the abiotic ecosystem services of the soil. And after that, in the next part of my presentation, I explain the why we have to choose the abiotic ecosystem services of the soil. To do this, we used typical analysis of environmental evaluation, which is the child's experimental analysis, related to two particular net products, which are the Rotella apple and Moscatello wine. And to do this, we used two particular methods, which are the mixed multinomial logit model and the latent class model. To do this, we use a sample made by 200 of consumers, in relation to which we send a questionnaire by mail due to the COVID pandemic, and they have to do a choice. So, we know nowadays that human activities cause the negative impact on environment, such as ecosystem services degradation, natural resources overexploitation, biodiversity loss, and so on. But during these two last decades, the importance, but in particular the awareness of policymakers, and in particular the society related to the importance of environment for ourselves and for our well-being, increase, and all these push government to sign protocols, strategies related to a more sustainable use of environment. In fact, all this pushed also international organizations like, for example, the European Union to increase the studies related to the ecosystem services evaluation, because the goal is to introduce in policy application, but also in the national accounting system, the evaluation of natural capital and of ecosystem services. In fact, there are nowadays a lot of ecosystem services already valued, like, for example, the marine, the forest, the agroforest, the mountain ecosystem services. But despite all this, environmental degradation still continues due to especially the lack of measurement of natural resources degradation in our national accounting system. One of the most important natural resources for our well-being, for our life, is the soil, which is 33% degraded due to human activities, like found in 2015 underline. And its importance is related to our well-being, to our life, because its ecosystem services is really important for us. In fact, let's think that the soil is at the basis of our provision of medicine and vaccine, but also with its activity, it controls the gas regulation, the carbon dioxide emission, and the climate change. So during the last 2 decades, also the importance for authors, for literature related to these natural resources increased. In fact, also increased the government initiative related to its more sustainable use. Like, for example, in 2015, United Nations set up the World Soil Day, which is the 5th of December of each year. But also in the same year, United Nations published the Sustainable Development Goals, which in which soil has a key role, indirect way. Let's think about the 15th goal, Land of Life, which is completely related to the soil, but also in relation to the other goals. For example, the first, the second, soil has an indirect importance. In relation to our literature review related to soil ecosystem services evaluation, we understand that the total evaluation of ecosystem services is related to the biotic ecosystem services. And moreover, in relation to the introduction of other matter related to the value of soil, the label analysis increased a lot. In fact, there are a lot of authors that try to estimate the value related to the eco-friendly product. But in fact, for example, Mazzocchi et al. In 2019 underlined, but with other authors underlined, that consumer willingness to pay related for products that have this eco label have high willingness to pay related to this product because they are more sustainable. But this method analyze and estimate only a market value, not a social value. For this reason, we decided to try to estimate the social value related to the abiotic ecosystem services analysis, to the ecosystem services. So in relation to the choice experiment analysis, first of all, the most important part of this method is the identification of the attributes. And so we have some problem because Elena can confirm this. We don't have any previous studies related to this particular abiotic ecosystem services, but also in Chicha's table, there are the abiotic ecosystem services, but no abiotic ecosystem services of the soil. And so in order to identify these attributes, we identify three fields. The first one is related to the sustainable use of the soil, in relation to which we identify the first and the third attributes. The second one is related to the soil geological composition, related to the second attributes, and the last one is related to the capacity to create a relationship between soil, product, and inhabitant, related to the fourth attribute. So in the end, we identify 5 attributes. Oh my God. The first one is related to the use of soil made by 2 levels. The second one is related to location of the product, also made by 2 levels. The third one is related to the knowledge of the soil, made by 2 levels. And the 2 last one, historical product conservation, made by 3 levels, and the price made by 4 levels for each product. So after that, we define the total combination using Stata software, and we eliminate naturally no plausible alternatives and the dominant one, and so we decrease the total combination to over 2,000 combination, and after that we select in random way 400 combination of each product. We select 400 combination because consumer have to choose 2 times in relation to each product. So our sample is made by 200 consumers, and we send them via mail a questionnaire divided into 3 different parts. The first one is related to the introduction, in relation to which we introduce ourselves and we speak about, explain our project. In the second part, we try to identify their socio-economic part, and in the last part, they have to make this choice task. So this is an example of choice task of consumer. In this case, we have 2 apples, because I said before that we have 2 products, Rotella apple, Muscatello wine. In this case, consumer have to choose apple A, apple B, or apple C, which is the neither A nor B, the no buy option. And these products vary according to the level of our attributes. So this is our socio-economic characteristic of the sample. So it's very small, but in the major part of our consumer are female, and they are very young, because they have the major part have an age between 18 to 30 years old, and they are educated. In fact, the 36% of consumer have a master or PhD. So in this part of presentation, I put our results. So in relation to the model, we used the mixed multinomial logit model and the latent class model. We decided to use mixed multinomial logit model because it keep count it assumes the heterogeneity preferences of our consumer, which is more in line with the reality. And we also use the latent class model because we want to identify the presence of different group of population. The the typical feature of the latent class model is related to the fact that in this model we can identify two groups, and the group have the same preferences within them, but have different preferences between them. So in relation to Moscatello wine, for the mixed multinomial logit model estimation, we can identify that consumer give a positive and a significant value to soil attributes, to abiotic ecosystem services soil, except for the price, which is on the red line, and so is not significant. And this means that the impact of these soil attributes to consumer utility is positive. And we can see also this, it's very small, but we can see also this from the odds ratio. In fact, the odds ratio are all significant except the price, for the same reason of before. And for example, the use of soil is 11.25. This means that a unit increment of the level of use of soil produces an increment in chance probability to choose that particular product of 11.85%. In relation to the latent class model for Moscatello wine, we can identify two completely different groups. The first one is similar to the previous one because all the soil attributes are positive and significant except the price. So it means that the social value that for these abiotic soil ecosystem services are positive for the consumer. While in the second group, there are completely different responses. In fact, only the first soil attribute, so the use of soil, is significant and positive, while the price and the third one are insignificant, and the second one and the third one are negative. We can also see this from the odds ratio. In fact, the odds ratio of the previous, of the first class, which is the 57.5%, are all significant and positive except the price, while the second odds ratio, the odds ratio of the second class is very small, is smaller than the previous one, the class first, but also we can see that the knowledge of the soil is not significant, the price is not significant, and only the use of soil, the location of the soil and historical product conservation are significant, but are very small. In relation to Rotella apple, we have the same results. In fact, only the price and the second soil attributes are not significant. The other one are positive and significant. And we can also see this from the odds ratio. In fact, the odds ratio of the location of the soil are not significant, but also the price are not significant. The other one are positive and significant. And in relation to the Laplace model, we have the same results of the Moscatello wine. In fact, the first one is similar the first group is similar than the previous results, and the second group has completely different preferences. In fact, the first attributes, the price and the first attributes are not significant. The second one is negative, and the third one are positive and significant. And we can see also this from the latent class model of Rotella apple odds ratio. Also in this case, the odds ratio of the first class is higher than the second one, and are more significant than the second class. So In relation to the no buy option estimation, we assume we make a typical assumption for this particular analysis. So the choice experimental analysis assume that the no choice option means no utility for consumer. And so we put all the attributes of no choice option equal to 0. But if I try, okay. If we back to the odds ratio of for example, the Moscatello wine, the no buy option is very high and is significant.
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. And so we understand that we wrong something. For this reason, we try to change the assumption related to the no buy option in relation to the attributes. In fact, we assume that the consumer plans to buy a wine or an apple in future different from the previous attributes. We assume for the first we assume that all attributes are equal to 1. In second case, we assume that all attributes of no choice option are equal to 2. In the third case, we assume that the first two attributes level are equal to 2. The third and fourth attributes are equal to 0, and the price is equal to the lowest one. And we can see that for hotel apple Moscatello wine, the no buy option decreased a lot. And especially also in the second case, for hotel apple and Moscatello wine, the no buy option is negative. So what we can say in conclusion. So in general, our consumer give a social value to the abiotic ecosystem services of the soil, to the abiotic ecosystem services of the soil, which is positive. But there are also limitations because from the Latin class model in the both projects, we identify two completely different groups which have completely different preferences. And so this means that our questionnaire was misinterpreted, so we construct our questionnaire in a not good way. So what we want to do in future, we want to increase the number of our sample, but also we want to change our questionnaire, especially the attributes, moreover the level of our questionnaire, in order to verify if the results can change. So thank you so much for your attention.